Right, ladies and gentlemen, so I've taken my time out to make this video to clarify exactly what happened Friday night and to give you guys sort of the reality of what exactly happened. So of course, Rockstar announced a serious crew battle between NoDo and Sweat Buckets. They approached us a while back, 4 days before, short notice. We were quite surprised. Me and Bruffy were like, why are they approaching us? We're quite curious. Even with all the confirmation and stuff, we were still curious as to why this happened. Of course, when the event took place, 1.5 hours before the stream started, we were given the information, prepared and organized all the players in the lobby. And of course, even before the event started, Bruffy himself made a spreadsheet with all the roles and all the tracks and all the laps and everything in detail, specifically what is expected from both crews, along with the devs who were participating. So, with that being said, we spent so many hours during 4 days of short notice practicing for this event. And it turned out what was supposed to be a serious crew battle was complete opposite. It was absolute shambles, to say the least. And Rockstar basically covered that up, sort of like how a scripted TV show is. If something goes wrong or a technical issue occurs, they will try to hide it as much as possible by, for example, in this case, Snapmatics during a 45-minute period of not someone being able to connect. For example, here, Picano disconnects right off the bat on the first race of the event. And Dev there, who's host, actually was in a stock elegy that was not even fully custom. And then this guy here, this is the other Dev with the Jester. And this guy, of course, it's alright. I guess he didn't really take the other person out and sort of understood the concept. But fair enough, But one thing we realized is that these guys did not come prepared, and the stream wasn't organized as well. They told us they were professionals as well, which was funny because, to be honest, me and Bruffy could have made a much better stream out of this battle. So unfortunately, I want to first of all say my apologies for mine and Bruffy's apologies for the showcase of what happened Friday night, for wasting your time basically. Because this was not supposed to be taken in any seriousness at all, from what we expected. Yes, we expected it to be serious, but we want you guys to know that whatever the outcome was from this event, neither one of us won, Although Rockstar claims that we won it by 6 points, but that's complete bullshit. By the way, this instance, the host was getting lapped, right? And 7 minutes in, he respawns because he was stuck on the tire line. And right in front of Doodle, bang, Jeep spawns and screws the race up. And that evidently sort of showcased right off the bat, the beginning of the event, how broken the game is and what they need to fix. But what pissed me off during the event, from this point, is that they did not even acknowledge or even mention once during the entire event that they were looking into the issues that were clearly quite evidently occurring. And what pissed me off the most is that these guys were trying to hide all this chaos as much as possible for the viewers who were watching. They hardly showcased any of the battles that was occurring after this race, because you'll see what happens, right? So I had to work my ass off to then catch up to second spot, to get second position. And of course, with all the starting grid that initially took place, it was perfect. It was really well laid out, before Picano disconnected, everything was going well. But because Picano disconnected and then the dev disconnected, there was a major issue. Right now, at this point, both of them could not connect back for the second race of this particular playlist at the beginning of the event. What that meant was we spent about a good half an hour on this screen trying to figure out what to do. These guys could not figure out what to do. We had to then suggest and say, look, all right, let's try and get the reserve in. Clearly, with those reserves being there, it was a complete waste of time for them because they could not get into the lobby. Everyone kept getting the same message, player no longer in session. Every time I personally mentioned that, they were getting annoyed and they were trying to move on to another topic because they clearly knew that the servers are absolutely atrocious, but yet again, didn't mention anything. So at that point, we had to then restart the entire lobby, which I haven't showed in this footage. But what happened was we restarted the entire playlist, got all the 16 players again, set Apex Predator to 1 lap, and then we have to finish that off, try to get ourselves in the same positions according to the same points. That didn't work out really well, and shambles. So 16 players this time, carrying on from the second race. given the points totaled up from the first race before the restart of the playlist. And look at this, SCV LSGP ruined yet again by some chrome Huntleys. They were taking a piss. I think it was absolute mockery, honestly. Look, once again, screwed up, comes back onto the track, completely disregarding the rules. So all that time spent, making the rules and, Bruffy spending time on the spreadsheet, yet there was no consideration for that, and there was no acknowledgement as to how serious we took this and how much of a big community this is for GTA 5. We even mentioned it before the stream, how big this is, all the issues that we addressed, which quite clearly evidently occurred during this playlist, and how this point here, once again, Rockstar guys and those yellows and Tornos are ruining it at the beginning of North Loop. And think about it, North Loop's a long ass track, and you have to deal with 3 laps from that fuck up. Well, you just can't take this seriously. I'm trying to stress this enough, regardless of what the result was, it just didn't matter, because at the end of the day, our main intentions were to showcase. By the way, Bruffy ended up missing a checkpoint due to the dev there crashing, and he ended up being 30 seconds behind. And that shit, like, imagine being his point of view, practicing for this event, and then that shit happens. Like, it's completely disregarded. It's out of the window. Like, there's no respect for us by the company, and these guys don't even know their own game and their own issues, which we addressed before the event. They didn't know what the curb boosts were. They didn't know the issues regarding the off-road tires giving extra traction. They didn't know about lampposts causing issues, this much lag issue. I'm sure they know about the lag issues, 100%. By the way, I got taken out by the dev as well at the beginning of the first lap, the left-hander there, and I was between 2 devs at this point. Right, so we're skipping through a few laps here near the end of the race. It was quite intense, I had to build myself back up again. Like I said, once again, this should not have been taken seriously, but hey, there was an awesome battle which occurred here. We both had obviously microphones between me and my teammate. Rogers was at the front defending his position, and between us was a NoDo member who was trying to attack the position at the same time, trying to hold me off as well. So it was interesting because we were actually communicating between ourselves as to the information I was providing Rogers was exactly the position that Smithy was in right in front of us, part of NoDo crew. And with this communication, it turned out to be extremely intense. I told him he's coming up on the inside, trying to hold him as much as possible so I can gather all the speed from the racing line, and of course close up the gap, and of course go for the overtake. And this worked out to be extremely well. But the issue was, during this stream, none of you guys could actually see this. The guys who were covering the stream was poorly organized. They could not even showcase what we tried to represent and sort of show from this side of GTA 5 community. So all the battles and all the respect, even from this point of view, Smithy let me go through because he wasn't, that was invalid overtake, so he lets me go. All this stuff, all the main points that we were trying to showcase from the community and what we were about, for the people that were watching, the 2,500 people, they could not see all of this. Instead, what they were showing is the devs screwing up, the devs doing wheelies and drifting, and like that was not the point. They even said, that this was a serious racing event, a serious crew battle, but it was completely opposite. I think they were taking the piss out of us, for taking this seriously. Look, once again, on their screen, Christy was stuck on joining. That's the little thing I showed you there. But on our screens, it was fine. It took them 10 minutes to realize that there was an issue for that. So Chris has to leave, and then he could not join back again, of course, because no player longer in session. Like, how stupid is that? And the Aber Gunners was their reserves joins, disconnects right off the bat. So then what we had to do, because of that issue, we just had to sort of restart the entire playlist yet again for the second time. So that was absolutely ridiculous. So to restart the playlist for the second time, and at this point, I was like, fuck it. From the moment of North Loop fuck ups from the devs, he's like, why are we taking this seriously? But the issue was, at this point, a lot of people in the chat thought this was actually taken seriously, just because of how Rockstar advertised the entire event. They said from the little GFX and Twitter status, this is a proper serious event. By the way, I'm showcasing all of these little clips here. Count how many lampposts dropped from each of these clips. Count how many lampposts. Look at that little lag, that delay between each person's point of view. But the amount of lampposts that dropped during this particular Laguna Seca Rockstar verified track on these conditions and non-contact was unreal. And this was also told, look at this. Look at this. This was insane, man. All of this happened, but none of this was covered. None of this was shown because they knew we were onto them. They knew that, this was happening. But they wanted to avoid as much as possible because the people that were watching, they didn't want to show them the truth behind the game and what actually all of us go through on a day-to-day basis when playing this game. and trying to have fun with this massive community, and they're not allowing that to happen. Even when we asked before the event happened on Skype, is it possible to increase our crew sizes from 1,000 to whatever amount you guys would allow us to. By the way, you saw their left hand side, the guy, once again, another issue similar to mine, lamppost goes off, bang. But anyway, point is, they responded by saying, hey, what an awesome questions, we will let you know via email soon, as if like they're gonna do that, you know. But when someone says we're gonna let you know soon, that essentially means fuck you, we don't give a shit, you know, wanna just forget about it. Basically, that's basically what the message was. And you know, it was kind of a different story behind what actually happened. You know, like I said, I'll keep repeating this and emphasizing this. It's just like how you script a TV show, man. Everything is scripted. You know, everything is made to look positive rather than actually showing the negative. For example, there someone disconnects because we couldn't get him back in again after the third time of restarting the playlist. We had to ask El Mister to leave. El Mister himself wanted to leave anyway, regardless, because of how stupid this event was. So we had to sort of balance out the teams. He had to end up leaving, of course, making it 6v6 now, or 7v7, sorry, instead of 8v8. And there was a lot of issues even during this race. A lot of people were just demotivated, just stressed out. A lot of issues with that. Even the devs at this point were taking a lot of players out through that. And you know, it's just an annoying event, you know. Like I said, once again, not to be taken seriously. Even on this race, you know, I was trying to showcase the Sabre Turbo muscle car. You know, the worst part is during the event, one thing you'll notice is that they stopped asking me questions specifically because they knew I was onto them. They kept going to Bruffy. Fair enough, you know. Bruffy stayed calm and whatnot. Look at this dev, man. All over the place, cuts back onto the track, nearly takes out that player from NoDo. Like, how is that taken serious anyway? What's it possible? So after the first race of Apex Predator, they interviewed me after the race and it was all cool and whatnot. But then I kept going on and on about the issues that were quite evidently, you know, that we saw and what we experienced. They completely ignored us. They censored a lot of things that I was saying. They censored a lot of things, like I said, with the lobby, and a lot of times they try to just quickly switch to topics to another situation that was irrelevant. Like I said, switching to Snapmatics during technical issues. Look at that, the dev takes out a lamppost and completely ruined my race when I took 4th position, now going all the way back to 6th with the Sabre Turbo. That all of it, basically, we practiced for hours and hours. And imagine coming into this situation, dealing with all the mess, you know, whatever that could possibly go in a wrong in the playlist literally went wrong. Like, everything, all the possibilities that can go against you went against that guy. Rocks, I don't know where that lamppost came from. It was not even on the racing line. Like, how's that impossible? So the next race, you know, once again with 14 players. Look at this. So the devs are in the Xeons, silver Xeon. This guy, okay, fair enough. I'm gonna let's try and get into a battle. Wait a minute. You know, North American host connection. Look at that lag takeout there. Fair enough. I gotta let him go through. You know, that's given in the rules that we provided, which obviously they didn't follow and abide by. And of course, even when we said there was no boost start, these guys were just like, they just laughed about it and said, yeah, right. So they are the ones who advertised this as a serious racing event, you know, crew battle, but then they went completely against it. You know, I let him through, I ended up being last, and that was an awful race, and just kept going. And in this situation, the final race of the event, I was 5th place. And this was one of the tensest finishes out of all the races, given that obviously this wasn't supposed to be taken seriously. But this also wasn't covered. This particular setting here wasn't shown. The person that was commentating didn't really understand anything to do with racing and didn't understand the intensity behind it. You know, I held Bruffy off on the outside there. You know, coming to the ending here with both Z-Type and Quick Classic having a battle through the controversial ending. Nothing was mentioned during the stream. They tried to end it as quickly as possible, and at the end they said, you know, stay tuned for heists, and that's it. That's basically, and just like turned off the Skype call. Because after the Skype call, they promised us to have a conversation to listen to feedback, which we suggested before the event started, but that didn't work out, and they knew exactly what we were onto. They knew the chat was spamming server DLC. A lot of people were getting banned, and pretty much this is a nice little summary of what exactly happened. Thanks to RB Drifting from NoDo for making this little comic. You guys can check out the links to all of this stuff in the description of what the community responded to this particular situation of an event that happened on Friday. And yeah, this is pretty much nailed it, you know. of exactly, you know, what happened. So at the end of the day, this entire event should not have been taken seriously. None of the crews actually ended up winning. So yeah, next time we actually do this properly, we're gonna try and make it much better organized than this and more professional. Of course, it should be easily done between me and Bruffy. So keep an eye out for that. And like I said, just completely disregard this entire event if it took place in the first place. And we pretty much just sort of proved how broken the game is, and these guys, of course, witnessed it live, you know, right in front of their eyes. And it's quite sad they actually tried to avoid it. Such a big company like this can't even try and keep it professional themselves when they call themselves professional. But you know, like I said, we've proven our point. We've given all the feedback that we had to give before the event started. Apparently they were taking notes and they were going to give it through to whoever, like as if, you know, they were actually going to do it to make us all excited and stuff. But then again, it's all a conspiracy now, isn't it? Because they completely just turned the Skype call off after they promised they were going to listen to us after the event. With that being said, I don't know what's going to happen now with GTA 5 regarding the racing DLC. They do know that the post is there and it's one of the most upvoted community forum posts, but we're not sure yet. You know, like I said, people, Rockstar's aim is to show all the pretty side of GTA 5. You know, Snapmatics. You know, there's a reason why they retweet Snapmatics all the time, and they always want to show the beautiful side of it when there's so many issues regarding the servers and connections and people disconnecting, and they haven't mentioned anything about that. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'll see you guys soon, man. I got another thing coming up, which was another event which occurred, actually a proper event this time, with Apex Stalkers on Saturday after the Friday's event, which was absolute shambles. And you guys will see something funny from that as well, which I'm going to post pretty soon. But anyway, I'll see you guys soon, man. Hey guys, here, aka Gene. So obviously a lot of things have changed to do with the way we see GTA 5 racing, and there's different philosophies behind it, because it's